Hello everybody. Today I'm going to tell you why Tasha ate the forbidden fruit. So it was about the second year of high school, the sophomore year, and classes just started. The young girls and boys, they knew each other from previous year. They were classmates. They took some classes together. So most of them were familiar with each other. Marcus is a football player that is in the same class with Amaka. Amaka is part of a small clique of friends. Marcus usually stared at Amaka from the corners of his eyes, but Amaka did not take interest in him. Marcus even approached Amaka and attempted to befriend her, but Amaka was not interested in him. And so eventually he left her alone. And about the second week into the semester, everybody was in the class and class was ongoing. And all of a sudden, a new girl came into the classroom. And you can tell the whole class went silent for about a minute. She introduced herself to the teacher as Tasha. And the smile that beamed from her face, I mean, she was so beautiful. Her teeth was white, her skin was glowing and beautiful. Her eyes, she just looked like somebody that walked from the cover of a magazine into our classroom. Tasha was radiant, she was beautiful, and I'm not talking about cosmetic beauty, makeup kind of beauty, her natural beauty. She was just extraordinary, and the whole class just fell in love with her. Both male and female wanted to be her friend. And so Tasha quickly formed the clique with the cheerleaders, and they became the hot girls at school. So the semester progressed, and before you know, a new wave, a new thing started sweeping into the school. Something was just in the air, and then each clique were coming together during lunchtime, and you will hear the young girls in each and every clique saying, "Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet?" Each and every clique. And one of the girls asked Amaka, "Have you done it yet?" Amaka is wondering, what are they talking about? She had no idea what "done it yet" meant. And they laughed at her in the clique, in the group. Later on, Amaka chased down her best friend and asked her, what is it? Have you done it yet? What are they doing? What is the it? Eventually, Amaka's best friend told her that they meant, have you lost your virginity? Have you done it yet? Have you become sexually intimate? And so Amaka and the clique and Tasha and her clique were plagued with this idea of who has done it. It became an interesting thing. It became something to discuss every lunch period. Every time they had a break and each of the clique came together, they had to discuss who did it last night, how was it, and so on and so forth. And it was getting closer and closer to Amaka's turn. Soon, Marcus, the football player, took interest in Tasha. And Marcus started making all the right moves to get with Tasha. Amaka took note of it. At this time, Amaka is now interested in Marcus because of the pressure being mounted on her to do it. And she needed a boyfriend whom she can have that experience with. But Marcus has taken interest in Tasha, and Marcus is making all the right moves. Amaka started thinking, how can she get Marcus' interest back to herself? And how can she possibly compete with a beauty like Tasha? Before I share the rest of the story with you, I want to take us quickly to the book of Genesis. Come with me. All right, so in the book of Genesis, according to the Bible, God created a perfect world, a beautiful world. He also created Adam and Eve and put them in a beautiful garden, the Garden of Eden. And in this garden, Adam and Eve had everything that they could desire. They had food, they had water, they didn't have to work hard, free housing. In fact, the Bible tells us that a mist came from the floor and watered the garden for them. So they didn't have to work hard. They had everything at their disposal. Then came the serpent, the snake, the devil. And the snake came to Eve and said, have you tried this other fruit? And Eve responded with, oh, we can eat whatever fruit we want in this garden, except this particular one. God told us not to touch it. Now, the serpent cleverly told Eve, oh, you are missing something, Eve. You are missing something. In fact, the day you eat this fruit, you will be just like God. So the serpent was able to convince Eve that she was incomplete, that she was missing something in her life. And unless she disobeyed God and eat the forbidden fruit, she is incomplete. And so Eve believed the devil. Eve began to think, yeah, maybe I am missing something. And then she plucked the tree, she plucked the apple and ate it. She also gave it to her husband and he ate. Now, what was the result of this disobedience? According to the serpent, according to the devil, this forbidden fruit was supposed to add to their lives because they were missing something. And when they eat it, the fruit is supposed to add something to their lives. But what was the true result? First thing first, their eyes became open. They lost their innocence. So that's a loss. That's not a gain. What happens next? They became ashamed. They were innocent before. They didn't know what shame was. But after eating this forbidden fruit that was supposed to add to their lives, they lost their innocence and became ashamed. What happens next? They lost their confidence. They lost their freedom. They became afraid. When Adam heard the voice of God coming, Adam and Eve, they hid themselves. So they lost their freedom to fellowship with God, freedom to, just that freedom of mind. They lost. They started hiding. What happens next? They learn to blame each other and blame, pointing of fingers. When God asked Adam, where are you? Oh, did you eat the fruit I told you not to eat? Adam said, it was the woman, the wife that you gave to me. God said, Eve, what have you done? Oh, it was the snake. And now they are pointing fingers. They are blaming everything else but themselves. What happens next? They lost their home. They lost the free rent. They lost the Garden of Eden. They were kicked out. Now they have to go and find their own housing. Adam would have to sweat in order to eat. Before they could just pluck whatever fruit, eat whatever they want to eat. Not anymore. Now Adam has to walk the ground and eat in his sweat, suffer to eat. And of course, Eve also gained sorrow in childbirth. This is a fruit that was supposed to bring something good into their lives. Instead, it's just taking and taking and taking. And of course, they lost the presence of the Almighty God. They lost their beautiful fellowship with God because now they were separated from God. So, according to the serpent, according to the devil, they were incomplete. They were missing something. But when they ate the fruit, they lost everything. Now let's quickly go back to the story of Tasha, Amaka, and the rest of the high school girls. And let me tell you what happened next with them. All right, so Tasha and Marcus became the superstar couple at the school. The whole school admired them. Everybody wanted to be like them. In fact, at this point, a girl without a boyfriend at the school was considered ugly. The assumption was that if a girl was pretty, then she should have a boyfriend. So most of the girls ensured that they had a boyfriend to prove the point that they are pretty. Anyway, back to Amaka. Amaka had no boyfriend. Amaka was desperate to get a boyfriend, not only to prove that she was also pretty, but also to have this experience, this thing that everybody is doing and she was missing out on. Whenever Amaka will see Marcus and Tasha together, she'll become jealous, she'll be envious, she'll be wishing she had not rejected Marcus. Nevertheless, the pressure continued to mount on her to do it, as the girls in her group, they were all doing it, and Amaka was left out of this experience. Who is she going to do it with? She had no boyfriend and she didn't know what to do. Meanwhile, Marcus is pressuring Tasha. When are we going to do it? We are the it couple of the school. Everybody is looking up to us to do it. And so eventually, Tasha gave in to Marcus' pressure and they finally did it. On the other hand, Amaka is still miserable. She has nobody. She's looking around. Who could she possibly do it with? Few months passed by. One day, Tasha showed up to school with a big baby bump that she could no longer hide. The whole school was shocked. Amaka was even more shocked when she looked at the 16-year-old Tasha with a big stomach. She couldn't believe her eyes. At 16 years old, what is Tasha supposed to do now? And then Tasha had to drop out of school to give birth to her baby. The following semester, everybody now was in the 11th grade. Amaka saw one or two girls from her own group also pregnant. One day, Amaka was walking into the cafeteria. She walked past somebody she thought she knew. She was not sure. And so she had to pull back and look again to make sure she saw who she thought she saw. She looked back and stared, and to her surprise, it was Tasha, and she couldn't recognize her. Tasha that used to glow with beauty. Tasha that her presence no one can deny. Tasha was standing there looking dry and unhealthy, looking like a stressed teenage mom. Amaka could not believe herself. How can a girl that was so beautiful, so full of life, vitality, a girl that appeared as if she came out of the cover of a magazine, how could she suddenly look like this? How could she suddenly look so haggard, so stressed, unnoticed? She was in a little corner with about one or two friends. Tasha that used to be the center of the school, the center of attention for the whole school. Tasha is now reserved to a little corner that she could barely recognize her. As the school year progressed, Tasha faded into oblivion, faded into the background. Few of the other girls that were pregnant struggled with their cause, struggled to graduate from school. Amaka could not help wondering, what if she would have given into the pressure of do it? At this point, the whole idea of do it has died down. Nobody was talking about doing it anymore because the consequences of doing it was all around the school. Some of the girls later confessed to Amaka and said, you know what? When I actually did it, I felt ashamed. I was afraid that my parent knew what I had done. I was hiding, just like Adam and Eve. Some of the girls confessed to Amaka that, you know what, it is not all that it was cracked up to be. In fact, it was not even enjoyable. Some of them described the experience as painful and confusing. And so, Amaka graduated from school, thankful that she didn't fall into the pressure of do it. Today, as you examine your life, as you look around your environment, what is the forbidden apple that the enemy is offering you? What is the forbidden fruit that your friends or a social media influencer is offering you? Is it gambling, pornography, occultism? Are you being pressured to join an occultic group, to come to a strip club and experience the forbidden? What is it that you are being pressured to come and taste? Remember, if you taste that forbidden fruit, the results are fear, shame, regret, loss of relationship with God. Don't taste the forbidden fruit.